James McAuley.
How's it going?
Very good, my man. Delighted to have you on the podcast here, finally.
Good to be here.
For any of you who don't know, myself and James met a few months ago, and some of you may have seen me doing some breath work on men during my weekend retreats. And all this is happening thanks to James, because I went to his course a few months ago, and he's given me a lot of skills and strategies to help me personally uncover some of my underlying difficulties, but also to bring this to the men and help them process their emotions. So thank you for that. Before I start, James.
Look, I still watch your Instagram story. We were just talking about this before it started. I watch your stories with great satisfaction. When I see some pictures and stuff, when you've got your hand, like I call it grabbing. Do you know? When you've got your hands on a man and you're like helping him release anything. Look, we're evolving slowly but surely. Like, I had two men in a training there this weekend, and one, like Keith Dixon, who's a coach, and another guy, Aaron. And it's largely, there's 36 people, but it's largely women at these trainings. It's increasing percentage there. And it's so satisfying to see another man willing he's like, and Aaron volunteers, I'll get on Keith there, and Keith, I'll get on Aaron, I'll get on, he's up, we're hammering each other, And I was thinking, geez, never thought I'd see that.
Yeah.
If you told me like 10 years ago, you'd be coaching men to grab other men and to release their deep-seated trauma. Like, oh, would you?
People listening to this going, what the fuck? Where are these guys going with this conversation? Yeah. Grabbing men, going deep. What the fuck? Yeah. But it's amazing what I've witnessed doing this breath work with men and how they've been able to release their unprocessed emotions and just unlocking that, and to watch the incredible fucking relief that they feel afterwards. Most of them not even knowing that they've been carrying this with them for so many years, until you go deep within. Sort of, can you give us a bit of an insight in terms of what happens in that process on a biological level?
Yeah, I can. That's what I do, isn't it?
It is.
So largely, although there are many names for the type of breathwork that we use transformational breathwork or holotropic or rebirthing. It's controlled hyperventilation. Hyperventilation lowers the level of CO2 in your blood, changes the level of pH, and along with all the hormones that are released, because you're activating the sympathetic nervous system, you change the way the blood flows to your brain. So it stops flowing to your frontal cortex. It's called transient hypofrontality, fancy word. And it goes to your limbic system, another fancy word. That's where your memories and your emotions are stored. And so you shut down the monkey mind, if you want to call it that, and you activate your feelings. And essentially you connect with your body. And so what happens with a lot of people, and particularly men, but in our society, is that we shut down our connection with our body and with our emotions, and we repress them. And our rational mind is kind of there, overactive.
Protecting us
from knowing that. And people, when you're doing the breathwork, you go, I suddenly felt pain here. It's not that you suddenly felt the pain there. That pain was there all along, but you decided, your nervous system decided, it doesn't serve me to feel that anymore. And so it's like a bomb of hormones going off with this activation of the limbic system, which leads to some of these releases and experiences, which, are wide-ranging and different for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you could go through this experience numerous times, and every single experience will be completely different, because you've sort of deactivated an energy source where there was pain stored.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're always a different person, right? Every time you go back, and it's a different context. But also, what I find happens, and you would have seen this as well in the training session, is that let's say you're carrying around a lot of emotion around a certain idea or memory or in a part of your body, and you release that and you cry and you scream and it's gone. And oftentimes, either during the journey itself or the second time someone has a journey, they'll go back and they'll go back to that scene. They'll be expecting to cry and roar and scream, and they'll go back to the same scene, and they'll see the same scene, and they'll laugh. It's one of the most beautiful things, actually, when someone cries, and then they start laughing, because what held such emotional charge for you, you look at it and go, geez, why was I so worried about that thing? That's just gone. And so you're releasing things, and it's a different trip every time, and it's different depending on context and what you're feeling, but releasing those charges little by little, or sometimes a lot at the same time, it's very satisfying as a facilitator to be involved in that. I mean, I have this online course. I was talking to my students yesterday, and they were talking about feeling the ego of being the breath worker, because you have this like, oh yeah, I'm the breath worker.
Godlike concept.
Yeah, exactly. And there is an ego element because there's so much dopamine being released. But I reframed it a little bit and say that it's just satisfying to be involved in something that you can see the results of that energetically unfolding in front of you. And the person comes back to you and says, things like, I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw me again. I guess I could think about it because I get that kind of thing a lot. And facilitators, you'll have had conversations with the guys you're working with, things like that, people reaching out and saying, that was unbelievable. Thank you very much. And I don't think it's so much ego as just a sense of agency going, thank God I can actually do something useful, because it's good to talk, as we know. And therapy is good and all these things, but having such a powerful tool and being involved in it, it's just really satisfying.
Do you sort of undermine therapy or talk therapy when you have this strategy that you feel is a lot more powerful, or does therapy, you feel, play a part in the grand scheme of things?
I have I've quite a few therapists on my training courses, on both the online course and the weekend course, and I asked them this as well. And I think it's very complementary overall, because you have a tool to release emotions, but stuff comes up, and that stuff can be processed on a somatic level, but also needs to be processed cerebrally, right? It needs to be talked out, understood. And so I think they're very complementary. I think that you release, like, you talk to someone who doesn't understand, has their emotions so repressed, they're going, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I'm grand, Then they release this, and you can't escape the fact that, there is stuff there, because I was crying and roaring my eyes out and stuff comes up. And so it opens up, I think, portals to make the therapy session more valuable, more useful, and more insightful. That's the way I like to think of it. Now, a lot of the therapists who take my course will say, geez, James, none of my clients want to do therapy anymore. They just want to do the breath work now. But I think it's very important to have, it's not that you're going to be transformational breath work every day of the week, is it? You come and, let's say with your weekend warrior, you do it in a ritual setting, it's symbolic, it's done in a group. It's an important thing. And then that releases, and then there's obviously a need for an integration process, for follow-up, for community, for taking forward steps, towards a better version of yourself. And that's when therapy and all the other modalities step in. It's just a powerful thing for opening up and making the rest more useful, I would say.
Yeah, almost as though talk therapy can bring you to a certain level where you then hit a ceiling, but there's something more in there to be accessed, and then the breath work can open that up. And then as it opens that up, it opens up something more for you then to process through therapy or talk.
Exactly.
And then, because it's also very confusing, I'd imagine, for a lot of people who go through breath work and then something opens up there that they weren't even aware of. And as maybe relieving or as satisfying as it may feel, especially at the beginning, there's also a sense of confusion in terms of, oh fuck, I haven't dealt with this properly, or this has been a pain in my life. So,
and this is deep, and this is, exactly. You open up a portal into themselves, and they go, all right, that's massive. That's a thing I can't ignore anymore. Like, that's something I need to deal with. And it can be bewildering. And even, it doesn't necessarily always need to be a huge transformational breathwork session to do that. Sometimes just having somebody sit and bringing awareness to their breath can open up a bunch of stuff as they connect. We call it interoception, right? Just connecting with your internal bodily signals can also be an unsettling process, because you realize, shit, my breath is up in my chest, my hands are shaking, I've got a lot of tightness around here, and here. And so oftentimes, I think sometimes even the more intimate one-on-one, just basic breathwork coaching can be almost as powerful as these huge explosive things, because you're working with subtleties as well there.
Yeah.
And again, those need to be untangled. I finished, I have this online course, and we finished 8 weeks with the course, And obviously in this course, the facilitators doing a lot of breath work, and they have a practice client. But they'll feel like since week 7, and I'm saying, yesterday I sat down to the breath work, and I felt a whole bunch of crap inside me that I thought I was over. And I was like, there's nothing you can hide.
You can't hide from this shit.
You can't hide from it. And you're unraveling bits, and your nervous system is adjusting and playing catch up with itself. And so it's an ongoing process. But you really are confronting reality in that sense.
Yeah.
You're learning how to first sense reality and go, okay, if you don't know what your inner world is like, then what's the point in picking a direction and moving towards it? And so becoming friends, I used to say this, master your nervous system. Now I think of it, befriend your nervous system, you know? All right, how's it going? Fuck today.
Yeah.
Let's go for a walk then. We'll do breath work tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're going to do fucking breath work today.
Mm.
And so I think in general, and you'll have seen this as well, that I think in this whole wellness industry as well, and particularly in the male world, there's a softening in the way of the language we're using towards ourselves and towards others and towards this hyper efficiency. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to slay it. I'm going to master it. It's like, all right, maybe just take it for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Avoiding. Well, seeking is avoiding. So often for men, especially, we're seeking the next challenge, seeking the next job, seeking the next paycheck, seeking the next woman, seeking the next beer, and avoiding ourselves. But I feel the breath work brings all that attention towards ourselves. And then you begin to realize, oh, fuck, okay, this is why I'm running away from myself. Because it is an opportunity, as I see it, through these weekends, and as you see it yourself, of course, when you're going through that breath work practice, you are by yourself, with yourself, 100%. And of course, you know, that might sound overwhelming to some people or scary for some people. But of course, you've got someone there who's guiding you through this process and looking after you.
Yeah, I would say you are, like, I think of it more like this, and this is why the group breathworks are so useful, is that the facilitator and the other people in that room are, in a sense, they're almost donating their energy and their nervous systems to your experience. So you're by yourself, voyaging inside yourself, but you're propelled by the power of all the other energies around you. And I often think as a breathwork facilitator and as a coach and things, you're donating your nervous system to somebody. You're saying, here, you need to go deep. I have some spare capacity right now, and I'll give you some of this, and that'll be your rocket fuel to go deeper inside of yourself. And that's why when you finish the breathwork session, even as a facilitator, you're like, they'll be wrecked, but you'll be wrecked as well.
Yeah.
Like, give me that back.
Fucking exhausted. Yeah. It is exhausting. So to sort of park that for the moment in terms of what's happening right now and how all the good work you do at the moment and the breath work, how did you find this place, or how did this place find you? How did the breath work find you and become a massive part of your life?
I think it's a classic one. In many senses, it's a classic one. I had a couple of advantages. So 15 or 13, you know, in 13 you start drinking. There you go. 13. So I would say that I was quite a bookworm. Hit 13, 14, started drinking. That took over.
You were bookworm up until 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of reclusive, just reading a lot. Wasn't
Well,
really enjoying the social interactions.
And big into school, or were you?
Not school per se. I was usually intellectually driven. Now when I look back on it, I think that that intellectual curiosity was almost like an escape for me to escape maybe some emotional stuff that I wasn't able to deal with or wasn't feeling belonging or connected in some ways, and I escaped into my mind, into my imagination.
Okay.
And also,
very good. Yeah.
Small talk's awful.
Yes, indeed. I hear you. And just in the way most people are escaping through their screens in the day, you're escaping through books.
Yeah. But there was a curiosity underlying that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, yeah. And then I found alcohol. That drove everything till I was 22. And then I had multiple. Everyone says I was drinking, but like I flipped off the bridge in Enniscorthy when I was 15, 16 maybe. Burst my kidney.
Flipped off the bridge.
I was sitting on a bridge eating a bag of chips. You know,
drunk.
Out of my mind, drunk on vodka, and I actually fell off the bridge. My friends dragged me home.
You fell off a bridge. What are we talking? Height wise?
Enniscorthy. We haven't the old bridge in Enniscorthy. It's high.
Right.
It's high, but I landed on the bank, and my friends dragged me home. And I woke up in the morning. This is one story of many, but I like this one.
Yeah.
And I come out and I look around. And I see that there's literally it was like a murder show or something. You know, there was a palm of blood running up the walls as I made myself. And I go, how am I going to clean that before mom and dad wake up? I go to the bathroom. I'm peeing blood, and I go, I'm not getting away with this one. And I go into my parents and like, yeah, come on, think I fell off a bridge in offshore. The boys dragged me home like 1.5 kilometers out to Clonaston. No one ever told me then to stop drinking, by the way. You know what I mean? And I had multiple. I fractured my skull a little bit. I jumped out of a moving taxi. I fell in endless.
All in your teen years?
All up until about 22. It was wild, you know.
Was this an addiction to alcohol? If you look back at it?
Yeah. I would say. I mean, it's more than like just it's similar to like once you start, you can't stop. I wanted thrills. I wanted drive, and probably I was bored out of my mind of the normal types of conversation you're having. But yeah, running my family now.
Interesting. Yeah. That was quite similar to my own
I think sure.
alcohol journey of once I stop, I don't give a fuck what happens. I'm just going to drink until
8 a.m. and
till
you're all
whatever
by yourself
fuck.
wandering around some random city in Asia.
Oh, fuck yeah. In Asia, yeah.
And so
How did I get to Asia?
And then one day I was 22 and I was living in Taipei. I moved. My brothers all live in Taiwan for reasons that go beyond the scope of this. So I moved to Taiwan for a year, drank like crazy.
Your brothers are in.
My brother, I have two older brothers, and we were all living in Taiwan,
really?
teaching kindergarten. So one after another, we all followed each other out.
This is what you did after school?
After school, yeah. When I finished, I went off to Taiwan.
Because you had a desire to travel?
Oh yeah,
Curiosity again?
Yeah, well, I dropped out of university when I was 18. Because I was studying engineering, I ended up moving to Boston for a summer and I was always traveling. So doing demolition and stuff. Loads of stories there of me vomiting on walls and things.
Lovely.
Anyway, I was teaching English in a school in Taipei, which is the capital of Taiwan, and I went out drinking. I spent the whole day drinking and went into work the next day still from the night before, wearing the same clothes. Taught 6 hours of private classes, and then the very last class I fell asleep in front of this tiny little old Taiwanese lady, you know, like just, and it was a glass office, so everyone could see that I was just falling asleep. And when I woke up from that, I went, okay, I think this is a thing. And I said to myself, I'll take 30 days off drinking.
Just
30 days.
Just an idea.
And there was a website called 30sleeps.com.
Okay.
Thank you very much, 30 Sleeps, if you're still there, because that was the beginning. Took that off. And I said, right, all I have to do for the next 30 days is not drink. And you know the way when you're drinking, you're always trying to fix. You want to be a better friend, you want to be fitter, you want to save money, you want to do all that thing, but it doesn't matter because you're drinking, so all the shit goes out the window. And after 30 days, I realized all the other elements of my life had just improved so dramatically. I said, all right, I'll do another 30 days. And I was out of my context as well. I was out of the Irish context that says you have to drink. I'm just some random white guy in Asia, so I was just reinventing myself. And then I was going to this gym every day and in Taipei, I remember really well. And one day I was walking in and I looked into the gym and I just saw classically just strangely jacked Asian men and some whiteys around. And I said, you don't want to go in here, you know, but I know I have to go to get my dopamine. And then I heard this like, floaty soft music. And I wandered over and I looked in the mirror. And yeah, sometimes they're not the greatest motivations, but I looked in the mirror and there was about 25 beautiful Asian women all stretching around in the room. And I went, fuck it. And I just opened the door and I went, what's going on in here? And the lady came over and she said, this is yoga. And I was like, can I try? And she said, yeah. And she said, no, we're just going to do really simple, touch your toes. And so I went to touch my toes and I stopped like at this kind of angle. And she went, no. And she came around to my back and she put her hands on my back and she went, I could hear her go, blah, something in Chinese. And I was like, oh. She's like, what's wrong with your back? And I was like, I know. I'd been playing rugby for years. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't bet and I was probably stressed out of my mind and all sorts.
Maybe that time you fucking fell off the bridge.
I get the whole thing, but the back was like that. And so I spent kind of 5 months then in this class I go 3 times a week with all these girls. And they would build, I was so inflexible that they would build like little castles of contraptions for me, you know, like all the blocks there and the blankets and pulley systems. So everyone else would be folded over in a pancake and I'd be there like this, just lying there and they were going, good boy. And I was like their pet. And they... Being mothered. But the breathing in that, she was really big on that. You know, okay, slow down your breathing. And I got into that was, I just looked at it, I went, holy fuck, I feel, you know, I was in my body. I was stuck at that for years. The other thing that happened was when I was in Taiwan that first year, I had an operation on my vocal cords because I had a vocal polyp. You hear those?
No.
Basically, I was singing in a rock band, teaching kindergarten, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, and I'm a loud fucker anyway. And so I developed a polyp. We were singing, recording an album in Taiwan, my brother and his band, we were in The Idiots, it was called. And
what's it called?
The Idiots.
The Idiots. Your band was called The Idiots.
Yeah. We used to tour. That was fun. That was the first while, but we used to tour around, do little shows and stuff. They were all right.
Yeah, okay.
But I wasn't all right. Everyone else was decent musicians. I was writing and singing. It was good. And they cut off the vocal polyp when I was in Taipei at the same time as I was doing this yoga course, you know. They cut that off, and then I couldn't speak for 3 weeks. So I had to stop working. This was about kind of 3rd or 4th month into the yoga thing. And so I couldn't talk for 3 weeks. And they gave me breath rehabilitation classes for 8 weeks because the Taiwanese medical system is amazing.
Okay.
And so they taught me how to breathe and how to speak and how to sing using my diaphragm. And so this with the yoga was like...
all just falling into place.
All just falling into place.
Okay.
Like after everything being like this forever.
Yeah.
So like, okay, it's difficult. Not easy now. It's not easy going in
and
breathing and doing stretching and being the useless one. But it's a lot easier than what I had been doing.
Parking your ego.
Yeah. And also again, being free of all these things. Because this was 19 years ago. So this is 18 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
And so like there was no Irish men doing yoga 18 years ago. No chance in Ireland doing that. You know, but there I was, free from these kind of cultural identities and these different things. And but I was still struggling because you rely on your identity. You rely on how do you get your release? How do you talk to people? I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to talk to anyone anymore.
Because you didn't have alcohol to...
I didn't have alcohol. My whole social system had been bent on that for forever.
Yeah.
And so I was largely just reclusive, going to yoga, you know. And then one day I was sitting in a cafe and the guy had a book and it said NLP on it. And I said, what's that? I said, it's a way of reframing your mindset. And I went, would it work for alcohol? And he went, yeah. Probably. Let's give it a go. Went over to his place and he did something called future sourcing. And future sourcing is where you visualize 2 future versions of yourself. One version I visualize have the drinking version, and one version was me, the non-drinking version. You look back over your life from 60 years, you look down at your body and you viscerally feel what it's like to be drinky James at 65, you know? No money, shitty relationships, fat realities, you know, fat as fuck if you're still alive, which I doubt I would have. And my sister always says it's a miracle you're alive. And then the second one is James, non-drinking James, fit as fuck, sticks with the yoga, probably had some hard moments as well, had to go through it, but whatever, looks back, maybe has a family, who knows. And he said, now take that information back from you. And that was it. That was the end of drinking. And that shifted everything for me because it gave me a meaning, you know, it gave me something to move towards. It gave me a visceral feeling, a connection with it. And it reminded me of the power of the imagination. So that was kind of, from then on, I just went on exploring all that NLP, hypnosis, the physical stuff, all that stuff.
What about the social game?
Social game, to be honest, not great. In the sense of, as a drinker, you used to having lots of friends and having a big group of people around you, right? And so it took me a long time to just accept that you're always going to have a smaller group of friends if you're not using the substances to get you there, you know? And so when I say not great, I mean like it's just still there's a part of me that says, I miss the days when I could just be in a big group of people and partying away.
Just bounce off each other.
Yeah, but then I have these weekends of trainings, you know, and they're way more mental than anything. You know what I mean? Like, so that's shifted for me. Is that, and I think about this a lot. So you can think about things like porn and social media and violent movies or these different things. They're kind of like BAMs that you put over something that needs to be addressed. And you use porn, you go, I don't need a meaningful sexual relationship. You use social media, I don't need friendships. And so you just get enough to keep you...
Ticks that box.
Kicks that box and you just keep going like that. And you think, I'll just keep going like that. But you don't keep going like that. You go like this.
Yeah, dipping.
And so... Whereas if you don't put those things on, there's no plaster, there's no Band-Aid, there's no cam. You can't ignore that is something you have to address. You don't have social media and you're sitting alone in your room. You're sitting alone in your room and you're alone and you're a lonely person. And so maybe you will go out and deal with that. And so even on the social level, I suppose the work that I do now fulfills such a huge part of having, it's meaningful, it's real, you know, it's raw as fuck.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about even talking to my online group there, you know. So they finished the first online cohort yesterday and started another one today. I love those calls, do you know? Because people, like I set the tone very clear. Hey guys, I don't want any fucking, I'm a god here, If it's going to be an ego thing, let's not share it. Let's be as honest as possible and be open about it.
No small talk allowed.
No small. You can have it. It's all right to make a joke, but like...
Yeah.
And so I have a guy, Fergus, who's on the online program. Actually, I was down in Ferry Carrick today, and he came into the Ferry Carrick Hotel down in Enniscorthy. He couldn't believe it. I've just been chatting the day before. And he, he's like, Jesus, James, sometimes when I'm running these, not me, he said to everybody in the group, there was 12 of us, and he said, I can feel my ego going, I feel like the God. Like, it's great that people share that though, just to admit it, going, okay, now guys,
own it. Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing we have to deal with. That happens, And so those are real, that's real, I can hug those people and go, guys, I look forward to those calls because they're real calls, and people who are pushing their boundaries were like, they did my first transformational, but I got scared or I got nervous, so I wonder what she was thinking. They're the things that I always wanted people to be talking about when I was a kid, I was always kind of like, what the fuck are we talking about here? This makes no sense.
Give me more fucking alcohol. So
give me some more, exactly. Give you some more alcohol as well. Maybe you'll say something real.
So I can numb myself up from this boring conversation,
Yeah. And so I think, you never know how long that timeline is going to be, because I have friends. I have meaningful relationships, but also because of the lifestyle I've had.
Yeah.
They're scattered around the world. I got one in Austria. I got one in New Zealand. I got one over here, one over there. So it's hard for me to find that community. But then when I look around, I look at the weekends I'm having, I'm doing a training, that is my community. And I wasn't big, community was never a word I thought I'd be preaching.
Yeah.
I was more the loner in the hills, but now I see it as like when you find some meaningful work and you share it with people, that's community,
Yeah, it is a big transition from the kid who spent a lot of time on his own reading books.
Yeah.
To now being this guy in a room full of people.
In Ireland as well, though, is the thing. I mean, a few people say, it's one thing doing this work. You're often in Spain or you're out in Beijing or any places. It's very different to bring it home and to be there with, with your kin, as it were, and sharing it.
And to be real and raw and honest.
Real and raw and honest, yeah. It's been, honestly, it's been really, it's been...
You find it more challenging in this country, obviously.
Nah, I thought I would. But
you get more pushback. You get more criticism or death stares thrown towards you.
No, do you know, this is an interesting one.
Because again, you are a very outgoing person, and you do have a high level of energy.
In this sense, so this is slightly different. Yeah. I remember a few years ago, I came home and I used to dress like all sorts. Yeah. And I remember I came home a few years ago and I was walking down my block and I was doing, I dancing when I'm walking sometimes. I do a whole lot of weird stuff, but I was dancing. This is my music. And I heard teenage voices on a bike. And the freeze instinct kicked in. I said, teenagers. And I, no. You know what I mean? So those types of things are still there, and they still flash through me. Those types of things when I'm out and about in Ireland. But I've kind of outgrown it largely at this point.
That's a massive thing, man.
Because of the work they do is real, because it's no like, if I was just some fella, if my work was just about making myself look cool and going, then I wouldn't be all right with myself.
Yeah, of course.
But because, I'm there in the trenches in a sense, when there's real people going, I'm going, no, this is real. Like, this is stuff. There's definitely stuff here. I've no doubt about it. And the thing I find about Irish people, a couple of things, but like, we're great. Once the general consensus shifts that something needs to shift, then it moves. You think about abortion or gay marriage or any of these kind of things. No. 51% of people believe, Then everyone goes, granddad. Same with emotional release or the need to talk therapy. When I started doing this a couple of years ago in Ireland, I thought, geez, they're not going to go for this. I was way wrong about that. They're loving it. They just need, like they and we, you need permission. You need a platform, you need a structure, and you say, here, this is what we're doing. We had 36 people at the train this weekend in Rat Mines. And, some people have never touched another body before, other than their significant other. I've had a few people saying that to me, but you give them within 2 hours, you have someone sitting on someone's chest, banging on their head, but, holding them as they cry. And they're all delighted that they got the opportunity, you know? And so I actually think Ireland... This is still such a strange place because we use stoicism and humor, right? Those are our two weapons or two defense. I'll be grand.
Protective mechanisms,
But they're actually still great. They're great mechanisms. If you can give access to some deeper stuff and some sharing there, people will go for it because they're aware of it. We're not dumb. There's a certain point you go, look, this needs to be done.
You feel there's a shift then, so in terms of people dissolving the shame to go deeper within the pain?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I see kind of these arcs, but my similar arc, and probably an arc that you've been on as well, that you have the sensitivity and the shame, then you find some sort of substance or some sort of addiction that covers that up. Then you might shift out of that. In the first place, you started with your body and you start working out and you start eating well and you say, okay, I'm getting better. This makes sense. And, you get to a certain point with it. Then there are two potentials. One, you just double down on your body and you become obsessed with it.
It becomes your identity.
It becomes your identity and it turns into a version of the other thing.
Because you receive so much validation and praise
and because
respect.
It worked and because it got you so far. And then you keep pushing and trying to do another push-up or another pull-up and trying to get another 1% on. But the marginal value, and it's like the additional value you get after a certain point from getting fitter isn't there. In fact, it turns around and bites you in the ass because you become this obsessive motherfucker that no one wants to spend time with because you're painful.
Yeah.
And I've been that guy as well, by the way, like for a while.
Both. Yeah.
And then I think there's maybe there's a shift, like an intellectual shift where you start, exploring some different things. And then I think there's this, ultimately you're led to this, all right, there's an emotional world in there that has to be dealt with. There's a community element of that as well that has to be dealt with. And I need that sense of connection and I need to understand myself and I want to connect with myself and with other people. But it's not as easy to go and do that. It's not like I can look up a YouTube video and it says, here's how you deal with your emotions. You're not going anywhere with that. And that's why this sense of community is so important, because
you feel safe.
And you have to feel safe, and people have to be present. And there's a lot of what I teach in the courses about how to make people feel safe, how to show you're present, and then to kind of push people or to guide them into feeling I call it courageous curiosity, to just be curious. What the fuck is that? I have moments here in Ireland, by the way, that I can avoid all sorts of shit when I'm traveling around and running my workshops, and then I come back to Ireland and I go, oh, there it is. Yeah. He's over there. The voice or little fragment or a memory from me. Oh yeah. Comes back. Back. But I think Irish people are great once they grasp something that this is important, and they're great fun, like great community, like really just good people to be around. We're definitely
missing that. Yeah, we've lost it.
But it's there still. It's in our nature. I've been running these weekend trains and they've been amazing. I'm blown away. And there's no bullshit here. I'm blown away what fucking good people they are, and how decent they are, and how open to stuff they are, and how much they're ready for it. And so it's been, for me, it's just huge. I think I'm on an emotional level. I thought about this yesterday when I was driving back. I was going, my God, I have a community that is based on the values that I find important and interesting, and we have really meaningful conversations. There was a girl there on the last call, and we had the call. I was there visiting my sister in Kilkenny. We had the last call of the online program, and it was really nice, And I drove back down from Kilkenny, and one of the girls just sent me a message saying, "Hey, after that training, I was driving home and I was full of bliss and loved out, and I was feeling what a great life. And then I saw my neighbor, and I knew his dad or his family member had passed recently, like 2 days ago. So I pulled over and I just gave him a big hug, and I sent him all. I get shivers now. Send him all the energy I collected from the weekend. And he said, you must have come out of the heavens to give me a hug, because I can feel all this. I can feel such love in that hug, he said, I started crying.
Wow.
I drive my man's car down from Kilkenny to go home to my folks, Start crying. And I go I went, brilliant.
That's the power of it.
Brilliant. I'm crying. Thank fuck for that. Because how often do you cry? Something comes like that. And so look, I could say so many things, but Ireland is fucking great, ready for this shit. And you don't find yourself, you take these men away for these weekends. They're like, thank you very much, please. I need some of that. That's an amazing shift culturally as well. That's
for men, especially
for men, yeah, for men.
How do you compare it then in terms of? I mean, you do a lot of traveling around the world. In terms of where we're at as a culture, as a society, as a society that's willing to heal, that's willing to open up, compared to some of these other places that you've visited?
Look, I remember I when I first ran my first session, because I avoided Ireland with this stuff. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this in Ireland. because also for me, it's touching on stuff. And I ran my first session down in the Ferry Carrick Hotel. Hi, Lena. She's amazing. She runs the center down there. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And we sat in a group, and it must have been kind of 14, 15 people there. And one of the things you do, top tip for facilitators, at the start of a session, you want to set the tone. I want to set the tone. A, that this is a safe place, and B, I don't want any bullshit. Just give me. We've all got dark shit, and I know probably, and you know as well, because people who come to your trainings, they'll probably tell you, hey, by the way, this thing has happened for me. Is it okay if I come to the training? And so, like, I get the full download of what, and everybody is going through shit. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got something going on. And so what you do is you pick one person who you think looks like they'd be honest, you know, and set the tone and say, all right, guys, now I'm just going to go around and I'm going to ask you, is there anything in your life that you'd really like to just let go of? If you had a magic wand, what would you change? Or something you want to just share with the group. This is safe. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be a monologue. It can just be a couple of sentences and we're all here. It's all good. And there's an art in picking that person. And the dark shit gets said, from incest to suicidal thoughts to whatever. But when you get the right person who's not a complete lula, who's like vaguely credible enough, and they say, yeah, I was molested by my uncle when I was a kid and it's always haunted me, right? That person is here. The next person who was probably thinking about saying, I get tired on the weekends. She goes, I got crippling anxiety. Doom. And you don't always get it right. Yeah, but when you do, it's like boom, boom, and everyone's sitting there on. Great. All right. So now we're all going to let it go, guys, because we can see there's some shit in here. And they go, yeah, and you don't have to let it go whatever you want. But, if you want to, go for it.
Here's an opportunity. Yeah.
Here's an opportunity. Mm. And that was that moment when that cracked open and went boom, 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 boom. I went, I got Ireland wrong. I got it wrong. It's ready for that, And for the trainings, look, it trains out like crazy. And people come to it and they're like, I want this. So I think we're much more, or at least there's a segment of society there. Yeah. I'm not saying it's everybody. It's probably not representative of everybody, but there's clearly significant proportion of people who are ready for that. So yeah.
What's your relationship with alcohol like now then?
Just don't think about it. Just think, fuck, I don't. It doesn't occur to me.
Do you see it as a problem in society, or do you see it as something that's feeding a problem in society?
Overall, it's hard to. I'd say it is a problem. Just in terms of all the drugs, it's the one that takes the toll the most on your body. For that, it's probably the one that leads to lowering of inhibitions, but doesn't give you any other benefits or insights, really. And it's the same thing as alcohol means you can lower your inhibitions and go, woohoo, I'm wild. And then you don't feel the need to express yourself during your week. It's like going to festivals. People who just go, no problem, I love fucking festivals. But if your festival week is the time when you go wild and you express your true self, and you spend the rest of the 51 weeks of the year not doing that because you have this, and you have your 1 month, us older boys now, the boys go once a month, and they get hammered. And it's just the toll it has physically as well. I look at the boy, look, I've been blessed now, I'm 40, and have been drinking for God knows how long. And so physically I'm in great shape just from that alone, let alone all the other stuff. Whereas you compare it to anyone else at 40 who hasn't got the alcohol under control, it's tough.
You can certainly see the difference.
You can see it. Yeah. You can see it in them. So overall, and and of course I still have these associations of because I was wild and I loved that. No one ever wanted me to stop drinking. No one ever wanted me because I was great crack. Waking, the morning drinking and day drinking, we call all that. There's a wildness to it. But the wildness I'm getting now out of those weekends is incomparable to what it would be drinking some pints on a Sunday afternoon, And I think it's a short-term trade-off. That you trade off the easy highs and then but it forces you to build something meaningful.
I hear you.
What do you think about that?
I believe it's based on the intention behind the usage. So, I mean, if you're depressed, stressed out, pissed off at life, and you use drinking as a way to express that or project that or release that, then that's an unhealthy use of the substance. For others, it could potentially complement the happiness or joy or the peace that you've already cultivated in your life. So it's interesting because I know people who are in both of those avenues. So there's people there who use it to release unprocessed emotions at the weekend, and all of a sudden they're picking fights with random strangers on the street, and they're ultimately fighting with their fathers, not fighting with some stranger, or they're fighting with themselves because of something they've done in the past. It's an expression of anger where it's permissionable to do so. But then there's others then who I see are quite peaceful and happy and content in their life, and use alcohol as a way to sort of complement this. So it's interesting. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I haven't drank in over 3 years. I have no interest in going back to it, because to me, alcohol is an absolute energy drainer, and
oh my God,
I'm very protective over my energy in terms of how I use it, how I express it, in terms of my environment and the people I surround myself with, and staying away from potential energy vampires. Or not that there's anything wrong with anyone, but when, like yourself, when we do have a higher purpose, we do have others who are depending on us to show up for us every single day. And if I'm showing up from a lack of energy because I've had 15 beers the weekend, then I'm not serving me, and therefore I'm not serving you. And I'm being a disservice to the people who are depending on me to help them out. So it's a squandering of that purpose that I feel is now an important part of my life, or a huge part of my life. So that's the main reason I cut it out. Now, there's the times when you reflect back and you remember the good times and the crack and the parties, and like yourself, I was the party animal. I'd be the guy standing on top of the bar counter with the top off, and everyone else fucking shouting and screaming up at me, or spinning around the fucking dance pool or whatever. And but this was also something in me that I wanted to make others happy. I wanted other people to feel good, and my way to help them feel good was to be this party animal who was fun-loving and just fucking great crack to be around. So I've taken that part and I've said, okay, I can still be this individual who helps others feel better, but I'm going to do this in a healthier way, in a more meaningful way, in a deeper way. And this is a huge part of why I do the work I do today. But it's, of course, it's much more depth than that. It's not just a one night thing. And
I think very interesting that we have a similar background with that, because you all will be, the people pleasing thing is very interesting. And so for me, quitting alcohol, and I remember this progression very viscerally, because it's something that you feel distinctly. So you quit drinking and someone says to you, do you want a drink? And you go, no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But if I drink, I'll die. And you go, oh, come on, have a drink. No, look, listen, I'll die. And then after a couple of months go by and you go, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to drink, and you progress over time. You realize, I'm telling people that I'll die, and they give such a little fuck about it that they'd actually happily have me kill myself for their need to have whatever confirmation they need. And that process over time is so interesting, because no one ever offers me a drink anymore. Not because I'm a wanker, possibly, but also just because you carry yourself with just such security that they look at you, But when you show the weakness and the need to please them, that's when people push.
Yeah, of course.
And so as you get more confident over time, that disappears and you forget that was ever a thing. But my lesson was that the biggest lesson I learned, and still a lesson I work on, is that there's an element of that in me. I want to please people. And that boundary setting that comes with not pleasing people, and learning to take satisfaction in setting boundaries and looking at someone going, no.
Yeah.
And just from a place of just stability, not anger, nothing else. No, sorry, son.
Yeah, the people pleasing aspect is very interesting, because, that's a lack of acceptance we have for ourselves. And then we're looking for this acceptance from others so we can feel accepted and loved in here.
Yeah, great.
But I still believe it's worth flipping that and realizing there's still that, you don't want to call it people pleasing, but there's still a level of satisfaction you gain from helping others feel better, but not to compromise your own values and your own health in order to do so through alcohol. So I see it as, I have taken so much value from my hardships and difficulties and problems in the past, that this level of value is not for me to keep. You know, it's like me keeping €1 million to myself and never giving any of it to charity or helping others out. It's like, I don't want to I don't want all this. What am I fucking do with all this? Like, this is not for me to keep. I want to give it away. And then as you give it away, as you give it away, it's reciprocated back anyway in terms of the love and the amazing transformations that you witness through the great work you're doing. So, and also being careful that doesn't become another dependency or doesn't become another addiction where your whole identity is tied up in giving. And if I can give, I will take. It's like, no. The realization is I have it and it's my purpose to give it back. So I don't need anything from you. I don't need anything from my client. I don't need anything from anybody else. I have it. I truly want to give you this. I want you to receive this because it's been given to me through my lessons or through God or whatever you believe in, through God. And it's mine now to give back to you. So that's the way I live my life now. And of course, there's challenges, there's pushbacks, there's temptations to go elsewhere. There's all of that still comes up. But when you have this higher purpose and you're aligning yourself with this higher purpose, you're less likely to indulge in these pleasures because you can understand that these pleasures actually take you away from that purpose and dissolve your energy and time to continue on this journey. So
there's so much I could say with that. It's really interesting. I go going about two things that stick in my mind. One, I'm going to come back to the higher purpose thing in a second. Valuing yourself and understanding your inherent value and the experiences and all the shit that you've been through and all these things, how these have accumulated to make you a unique person in many ways that is uniquely served and suited to serving something. Yeah. I remember when I was in Thailand during COVID, lucky me, and I was whatever I was doing, but I was in Chiang Mai. And
keep it PG.
Let's keep it PG. You'll still talk a bit about the LSD. And this girl came over from Koh Phangan and she said, James, I have this LSD and everybody who takes this LSD has a very interesting experience. So I was like, I know LSD. I know it's no problem. I said, I'll go around and take some and go around the lake. I took the LSD and walked around the lake and I was walking around for ages. This lake in Chiang Mai, just in the university there. And I just walked around and then somehow I felt like inside myself, and this isn't like an ego thing, this is like, I am a prince in the sense of all these experiences and all these things and energies and things that I've been through have created this unique store of value. And I should treat myself like a prince or whatever and treat others as if I were a prince. And because I felt for the first time, and I think I've always not been able to recognize your own value, this feeling of not being worthy. You know, and I use this prince, you can take it out of context if you want, but there's just a way of expressing that.
A man of value.
A man of value. But then in that state, that's what it came to me. And and do I treat myself like prince? I do not. And do I treat other people as if I were a prince? I do not. And I think bringing people back to that feeling of their inner value, that's it. That's one thing, is to recognize your darkness and to release those things. And we do with the timeline therapy and these different things. It's literally that. It's like you have value and you are the one who has to recognize your value, not the people outside of you. I think that's a big part of the work. One is ripping down the walls and then building back up and saying, hey, there's a lot of good shit in here. Yeah. And you can take that. And the second thing, you're talking about purpose. Remember in the training we did this Dill's logical levels, you know, the questions that you ask your partner, where you go from environment to behavior to skills to values. And on top of that is purpose. You know, what are you here for? Because once you've helped somebody understand what they're here for, define it, to make that I'm here for this. And then that can change over time. Yeah. But if you can give somebody that sense of purpose, and I think that's a lot of your work, I'm sure, is based around that idea, right? That the other stuff kind of, you know, I was saying, this is for you very clear, that, you know, I have this purpose. I want to help men, you know, discover their true selves, whatever your version of that is. Then all the other decisions that you make are based on whether that's moving towards your mountain or not. And then the other things make sense. If you don't have a mountain, so why not fucking drink your face off? What does it matter? You wake up in the morning, you've got nothing else planned anyway. It's all meaningless crap anyway. And that is also what shifted for me. And very, you know, recently, even the last couple of years, like, all right, look, I actually have value and I have a mechanism and a way of giving that value to people. So then, of course, I'm not going to fucking have 20
Sabotage
pints.
that, yeah.
Sabotage that. No, you will sabotage it in some ways, because self-sabotage.
We are human beings after all.
We are human beings. And also in terms of like the ceilings that you push, you know, your ceiling is always here. And you've built a lovely ceiling. Oh, this is my ceiling. This is where I go. That's a form of self-sabotage in many ways, you know, because you don't allow yourself to think bigger, to think broader, to think of more impact as you do. And that's also the Irishman is.
Yeah,
you know this story? I love this story when I explain Irish people. Someone says, what are Irish people like? I'm not a great crack, da, 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 da. And I said, I'll tell you a story. An American looks at a man on a hill with a beautiful wife and a beautiful car, and he says, I want to be that man. An Irishman looks at the same man on the same hill with a beautiful wife and a beautiful car and says, I want to get that man. Now that's changing. But that explains for me a lot of our childhood in school. Who do you think you are? Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I get
you know, that stuff is still there, but that's shifting as well. And watching men being open and vulnerable and saying, well done.
Yeah.
And meaning it.
That we're not on competition with each other, that we're...
Yeah, having men supporting men is that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you remember all the stuff in school. I remember you were up in school in the north, because you know, with different accent. But people,
Donegal,
Donegal, you know,
again,
different
man.
accent, but still people saying you faggot.
Yeah,
Who do you think, Gary? You think you're great, don't you? We'll all wear our blue jeans and our Brill cream and our blue shirts. Whatever, I'm sure. The Brill cream back in your day as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wore it. Yeah. You know? Trying to fit in, man.
Trying to fit in.
Yeah. Fuck, man, we could go down a rabbit hole there.
Yeah.
we all
were all just sitting here looking into the past, thinking about it. Just came up on in the training where the girl they were talking about. There's a thing I say in a lot of trainings is like, in order to change a man, you need to change the audience he sees himself playing to. And understanding that composite of who those people are. Who are you living your life for? You know, and we're all living it for our parents to a degree. By default, our family and our cultures. And a lot of us are living it still for the school kids who are bullying us or bullying everybody and all holding each other in check, calling you a spastic and a faggot. And you're like, all right, just wear my blue cream. You know, I remember I was dating a girl. When I was 17, you know, maybe 18. That was the first one of my friends probably to get laid. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure I was either first or second. And when I was going out to meet this girl, the boys would make me feel like I was, you're going off to get a ride, are you? I'd be like, I'm a loser. Yeah. You got me. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just indicative of that.
While they're going home wanking into their tissues. Yeah,
but making sure you weren't enjoying whatever you were getting either. You were crap as well. Yeah. But that's there. And so when you're helping, and I have many stories about that, when you do this kind of introspective work and you realize who your audience is and how it's your parents and how it's not, they're not as cool or put together as you think you are. But helping people first recognize who that audience is. You're basically playing to the 13-year-old boys in the playground.
Yeah.
Now,
still trying to prove something to them.
And those people are, you know, those boys are now, and you know, whatever they are. Whereas who do you want to be playing to? First of all, you have to play to yourself to a certain degree, or to, you know, people who you admire, or your peer group, and to create a new peer group whose opinion you actually admire too, and hold them. So I often think of a friend called Kieran, and I used to just literally think, what would Kieran do right now?
One of those guys.
You know, what would he do right now? What would he think if he saw me doing this? You know, like that.
Interesting.
But I respect him, you know. At least give me a pause. And so with your work, I feel, you're creating these. You know, take these men away on this weekend, and you give them a new standard to see themselves from. It's like, play to this crowd of boys, or you know, they're strong and we're moving towards something. Maybe they're not that strong yet. Maybe their integrity isn't quite there yet, but they're on the path. So at least should be playing to people who are on a path and moving towards something. Wherever they are on that path, doesn't matter, as long as they're giving it a go, you know.
And the power of that community too is that not everyone is on the same level. So you will become inspired by someone who's maybe a little bit further ahead than you on your journey, or perhaps career or money or family or whatever. But then you'll also become an inspiration for someone else who's a little bit further behind. And then you'll also connect with somebody that's perhaps on a similar level as you. So there's power in that too. That because a big part of those weekends, as much as is for your weekends, is that there's a lot of sharing that happens in terms of their struggles, their history, the problems, the pains they've gone through, what's presenting in their life today as an issue. And someone else is listening to this going, oh, fuck, like that shit that he went through 5 years ago, that's where I'm at today. And fuck, look at him today. He's so strong and so confident and whatever else, they're making up certain assumptions or opinions. And then they start to talk, and then they start to exchange notes, so there's something interesting that happens at the weekends as well, where I'm not the only person leading. There's other leaders as well that start to show up. And it was quite interesting on the last weekend. He may be listening to this, but we went to the sea. One of the first things we do the weekend is we jump into the cold water in the sea. And like there's 6 of us, and 5 of us down the steps, into the sea, jumping, cold, whatever. Next thing I look up, and one of the guys just fucking jumps off the pier into the water.
I did see this, by the way.
And I look up and I go, all right, this is the kind of weekend it's going to be. We're going all in. And what was quite interesting was after he jumped off the pier, everyone else decided to jump off the pier. And I was actually the one at the top who was hesitant to jump in because I got a fear of heights. And I was the one then who was being led by the others. Because I was, just as they were coming to the weekend to face their fears or overcome their challenges, here I was standing at the top of this pier, looking into the water going, oh, fuck. It took me about 5 minutes to finally make the jump. And of course, going through all my strategies, a bit of breath work and leaning into it, and ultimately me saying to myself, look, if I fucking walk away from this, if I don't do it, what sort of example am I setting for these men? If I walk away from something I'm afraid of, like they're not going to trust me to take them through their fears and their difficulties this weekend. So that no matter what happens, and it wouldn't matter anyway, like I'm that kind of guy who just would not walk away from something like this. I've done it many times before. I said, no matter what happens, I'm fucking jumping in. I don't care if it takes me fucking another 20 minutes or I'm going in before I leave. And of course, they're all encouraging me to jump in. And I finally jumped in. And great sense of release and achievement in doing that. But what I highlighted was that there's a guy that's been working with me for 6 months or more. And he was the first guy that jumped off the pier. And I said, you know what? You stepped up as the fucking leader on that day when you arrived at the pier. You jumped into the sea. If you didn't jump into the sea, nobody else would have jumped in. Nobody else would have. There's another guy as well who was quite fearful. Nobody else would have done that. Nobody else would have embraced it. Nobody else would have gone all in the way you did. So you set a standard for the weekend. So I mean, so it gives other people an opportunity the weekend to also step up and realize that there's a leadership quality within them, or there's gifts or talents that they have. As I said before, they've gone through pain, they've gathered lessons, and now they're giving back to others who are perhaps a little bit further behind, or you become an inspiration for somebody else, vice versa. So this is the power of it. And
I say, it's a great example of the heights. So a couple of things you learned. One, that you can overcome your fears. 2, never do the cold water exposure anywhere where there's beers. We're in Tralee now. One of the things I try a lot with, for example, the online courses is an 8-week course, right?
Yeah.
And people don't realize how fucking, especially when, like, I'm the breathwork guru, right? You know, in this thing. So they always kind of, what do you think, James? What do you think? I was like, guys, I don't know all the fucking answers. You're not half of you therapists, half of you, like, you're fucking very well-developed humans with a way more experience in certain areas than me. And what I think is the most sad, there was a moment on the week 7, you know, and it was where I always open up going, someone says, and I say, guys, what do you think? What do you think? And they just started offering, Fergus and Paula. And Paula was like, I'm going to have my first transformational breathwork session. I don't know what to do with, where do I touch him? And then Fergus went, look, men, they store a lot in their, which you'll have found as well, right? They store so much in their chest, you know, and you should go like that. And she, but whereabouts? And he was kind of showing her online, you know, we go around like that. And I was like, brilliant. Because that's very satisfying. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the exact opposite of what people think. I think sometimes I want, or you might want as a facilitator. Yeah. You know, like your ego will go so far.
Yeah, of course.
But you go, come on, guys, come on. And then that moment happened. And for me, I was like, I was going like, you co-teach each other, you share, you do all that. And that's what you want, like one form of leadership or another, where like, because I'm not there at all, you know some techniques and I give a platform, but now we're all here doing our best. And so it is really sad. It's really like those moments, like that'll stick with me.
Yeah. Just the dissolving that sense of competition again, and even instilling that sense of connection all the more.
And also that they had come to, not even I had brought them, but they had come to that level of confidence in their breathwork facilitation to open in front of other, give some advice in a casual way and say, I do this I find this works.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think, James? Like that's what I think, Brendan, because that's what it's confidence. You want to know the things and you want to know the science and know the methods and the language and all those things, but it's presence and confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
That's so much is just presence. You'll find out yourself, just like being with someone, actually being there. With the breathwork, the great thing is you have to be there almost. It's impossible not to be there when people are going through that. You're not like checking your phone. Someone's like,
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, it's amazing watching unfold. Yeah. Was there a moment there in the past where you had this realization of the power of the breath? Because you talk about the yoga, you talk about doing some breathing practices, and of course the breath work that you had to practice whenever you had this surgery. Was there a moment there you thought, fucking hell, like this is actually, because you do with us in terms of the processing of emotions. Like, when did this happen for you? Or was that the breakthrough moment, or was there something else that sort of made you realize the power of being in your body instead of being in your head?
For me, it was a series of collections of moments that I came more and more into my body. My biggest moments, and breath has always been like this fast access.
Yeah.
But my kind of, I would say that kind of a pivotal moment actually ties in with a lot of things we're talking about. So I was in Taiwan, I'm 23, and I've done the yoga and I've done all these things. And I go to a Vipassana meditation retreat. Have you ever been to one of those? 10 hours a day, meditating for 10 days, like strict Buddhist style. And so I go in.
No speaking for 10 days?
No speaking, no looking at people, no nothing. You're just literally meditating for 10 hours a day. Simple food, twice a day. So I go in. It's tough, but it's okay. Third day, I start to think about this flight that I had booked. I had meant to be flying to China, and I started to think about it. Couldn't get it out of my mind. Day 4, okay, you can go talk to the head monk 2 minutes a day. And I go, can I go check the internet? It was an internet cafe at the time. He's like, no. All right, day 5, day 6, it's torture now. It's 10 hours a day, and I've just got this in my mind. I fucked that flight up. I need to check the flight. And he goes to me, and I said, I got to go. And he's like, look, I'm pretty sure your flights are fine. This is an emotional storm. This comes from a deep-rooted problem or issue that you have. And if you sit with it, you're going to learn a lot about yourself and a lot about what's really going on. Day 8. And on day 9, one day before I finish, I said, fuck this shit. I'm not meditating here anyway. What's the point? I've been torturing myself for 6 days. And I wandered off. I left and I said, all right, guys, ciao. Didn't say because you couldn't talk to anyone. Just gonna walk.
Just wave goodbye.
No one looking. You're not looking at people. It's like I walked out and checked the internet cafe, and of course the flights were fine. And I had to sit with that then for a long time. I was going, what's going on here? And this is where this idea of the audience that you see yourself playing for, because what does it really matter? This flight, it's a flight. And I realized it came from this fear I had that my parents think I'm stupid. And that they were going to find out that James had fucked up again. Because, I had the reputation as the messes. After 7 years of drinking, who wouldn't? The first 14 years of being the kind of like head up in the clouds, distracted by books, smart as fuck, but not exactly impressing people with my, being in the moment. After that, 7 years of drinking and almost dying multiple times. So it was all, I'm sure this came from before that as well, but anyways, geez, I have been pretending that I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And I've been pretending to myself that I'm Mr. Hippy Dippy, free from it all. But here I am, when it comes down to it, when I just sit in my body for long enough, the reality of my emotional world eventually comes home to roost. Now, it comes to roost in different ways and in different guises. And this one was just a manifestation of that deep-rooted pain that I have. It's not like you heal these things completely. I notice, I go, oh, there it is again. Mm-hmm. But that was it. It was the power of being in your body and not distracting yourself. And just being there, because you can't fucking watch and you can't talk to nothing there, and it just comes right up. And the only way it'll go out. And that's kind of what the breathwork is. When I did breathwork session, years later, I started doing the breathwork sessions. I was like, this is like a fast version of that. That's what that is. This is like that on speed.
Yes. Okay.
And that was when I realized, okay, so, and I'm not going to host 10 hour, it's not for everybody, but you can give this stuff. And then I was running those, and I was doing breathwork, and I was combining with NLP and hypnosis. And then when I was living in Barcelona, I met this guy, Mario, you motherfucker. Mario, Cosmic Mario, used to work as, here we go, we're going way over PG right now. Mario used to work as literally, he would give cosmic orgasms, right? This is his whole job. I think he says he's fingered 10,000 women, right? And at a certain point, he was surfing in Hawaii and he broke his back and he was paralyzed. And then he went through this whole therapy.
People are still hanging on the finger in 10,000 women, by the way.
Wait, he's still going, where's Mario gone?
They're still at that on that word, on that sentence. Yeah. So just give a moment to just let that land and process, and then you can move on. What the fuck? What the fuck did he do?
Cosmic Mario.
There's women now checking Instagram.
Oh, they find him as well. He's a hell of he's a phenomenon. And then he
this is a form of therapy.
Look at for who? For him? Or for me? For who? Look, this is like, that's his story. When you go into his workshop, he tells you that story, and then he broke his back, was paralyzed, and went through a form of therapy involving like physical manipulation, and then he learned those skills, and he runs this. This
is before he started the fingering?
This is after. The fingering ended when he broke his back.
Okay.
He rebuilt himself and found purpose, but still had all the skills.
Okay.
And the physical touch, right?
Okay.
And so he learned the massage techniques that had rebuilt him. And now he travels the world giving these workshops, training people how to release emotions using physical touch.
Wow.
You should check him out. It's really insane. And so Mario, I had this space in Barcelona, and we were thinking about running some workshops together. And then I went to his training. He says, I'm the first person that ever came to his training for free. Thanks, Mario. And then he said to me, James, this breathwork stuff's mad, and this NLP, I'm really interested. Why don't you come with me to India? This was last year in January. It would have been a year and a half ago. I was doing breathwork. I had studied massage in Thailand. I studied loads of it, but I never really worked the massage bit into the breathwork. And we started running these workshops, and it was crazy. You never saw it. He said, man, I've never felt bodies that are so receptive to touch. And this is like a master.
Yeah.
As when they're in that receptive state, you know? And so we spent 2 months running workshops together. And I'm not going to say he showed me everything he knows, but he showed me a lot. And I learned a lot about holding space and facilitating and being okay. And he would tell me, look here, watch this. And he'd just go, there. And you'd see, he'd hit someone. He would chase the snake up the body, you know, the energy. You know, the things that I showed you, the working up the body, but he would be like next level. He'd like, see this girl? And he'd go, boom. And he'd hit it here. And then the energy, she'd go like that. And it would move up to here. And then he'd go, watch this, boom. And she'd go like that. And he'd go, bam. And he'd go, bah.
Fuck.
And I was watching, I want that. I want to do that. Of course you do.
I want to finger 10 as a woman.
And so that stuff, like that was when really the Phoenix breathwork and all the stuff that I do, because all the language
touch
stuff
is very
I knew,
important.
oh, it's huge, huge, and it's amazing. Like, and that is the collective release of everyone working together. You know, we pair each other up, and you were working with Tripty, and you know there's the boundaries are resolved there, and you normalize that space. Everyone grab each other, and everyone does it. I still can't believe it. Everyone just, all right, now you grab him here. Remember, I think it was a train that you were actually. One lad said, James, I haven't touched another woman in 25 years. You know? Yeah. And there he was. At one point, we had her suspended in the air, the two of us shaking her like that. Yeah. So, and the touch is huge, and you can talk things out, and you can do it all. But like, that's a big part of humanity, and I think that's a big part of being human, and it's such a necessary part. And in Ireland, we really fucked that shit up.
Yeah, for sure.
We fucked that shit up, but people know it, and they're willing for it, and they're thirsty for more contact and for more opening. So
we're unfucking it.
We're unfucking it, yeah. So I'm optimistic.
Brilliant, man. James, thank you so much. Fucking love this conversation. Love hanging out with you. So This was a pleasure, as always. And for anyone who wants to work with James or reach out to you, where's the best place to get you at?
Oh, look at my t-shirt. Doesn't even have any sleeves on them. Playfulgrowth.com or Instagram, James Playful Growth. I'm going to have to rename it my own name.
Playful Growth.
Playful Growth. But I have to say, we got Breathe Ireland, which is, I don't know if it is or not, but I just said it. It's Ireland's biggest ever immersive headset event happening on Thursday. Sold out. 120 people with headsets on screaming their heads off. And there's training in London. There's online programs, all a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But that's great crack.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. I love what you're doing. I really do love what you're doing as well. You know what? I
appreciate it.
I watched and I saw that one about the jumping off the pier, you know, and I see a picture of you with your hand on a man's chest. And I go, fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because I received those lessons and those skills from you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Spread the love.
I would definitely recommend that any of you listening go and check out James's workshop, even if you never want to use it in a coaching capacity. You gain so much from it in your own personal experience.
That's what I find. It's what I now realize is what therapy should be. You know, communal, real, emotional, raw, sharing, non-hierarchical, just experiencing and feeling, letting it go. Yeah, for sure.
Let it go, baby.
Let it go.
Boom. Nice one, James. Until next time.
Thank you very much.